guys, welcome back. My name is Dominique. If you're new, I have this small little channel which I basically film motherhood type videos, and I also like to film lifestyle content type things, just things that are relevant to me, that goes on in my everyday life. We are all so excited, my husband and I. And if you didn't know, I'm married. My husband's name is Glenn. He's not really in the videos, but he's pretty supportive. So I have a 2.5-year-old daughter. Her name is Audrey. And now I'm currently pregnant with my second child. The video is going to be a first trimester symptoms video. I have my notes on my phone, so I'm going to be going over how the first trimester went with me. This has been a long time coming, as I am now into my second trimester. I have been putting this video off just because the first trimester was really awful for me, and it was just a struggle to even do my daily routine. Anyway, that's basically just the whole gist of who I am, what the channel's about, and what maybe you can expect from here. So I'm gonna go in first before I talk about my first trimester symptoms about finding out I was pregnant. So this baby was planned, and we wanted to wait until she was about 2 to start trying, and then once she turned 2, there was just so many things going on in our lives. We just moved in to this house, and it's the first house we've ever bought, so it was a big deal. At the same time, there were other things going on too. I think I talked about how Audrey needed speech therapy. She's not doing that anymore, but we did that for a little bit, and it has helped tremendously. And then after February passed and then I had my period, I decided that I was going to take it up a notch. I have done a lot of research and read a lot of stories of people like who have documented their pregnancy journeys, like online or even through videos. Honestly, it's a whole process. I feel like I did the bare minimum. All I did when I say that I was tracking was pretty much just download an app and then go from there. Since it was my first time downloading the app, I really wasn't expecting to become pregnant right away, because I was just thinking it was an estimate, you know, like how accurate could it be. I put in all my info, and then it showed me like my ovulation dates and stuff. I just went off of that, and then we were able to become pregnant. So we conceived in March. It's called the Glow app. I haven't used it in a while since becoming pregnant, but that was the only app I used. I mean, I downloaded the other ones, but the one that I was really relying on was the Glow. Other than that, the only thing that I did differently was I tried to live a healthier lifestyle. Another thing is I just started taking my prenatals, and the prenatals I was taking were the Garden of Life ones. Honestly, I really have no opinion when it comes to prenatals, because I feel like they're all pretty much the same. At least for me, I don't notice like big differences. But one thing I did not like about those were that I had to take it 3 times a day, and that was really annoying. I feel very thankful, and I'm very blessed that this happened for us, and I just want to acknowledge all the women out there who may be struggling to conceive or who are having problems with fertility. My heart goes out to you. I can't even begin to imagine how hard it must be, not just emotionally and mentally, but physically on your body too. I'm sure it takes a toll. I do know that sometimes it just doesn't happen that way, and you know, there's other complications or it takes longer, but yeah, so we really weren't thinking it was gonna happen so soon, which is why this baby's due date ended up being in December. When I gave birth to Audrey, which by the way, Audrey's wasn't her being conceived wasn't planned. Me and my fiance at the time, we were engaged, and we knew we wanted to be together, and obviously we were working towards marriage, and we knew we wanted to have a family, but she just came a little earlier than I expected, which is obviously fine now because we love her and I can't even begin to imagine my life without her. Because it was unexpected and it wasn't planned, I had no idea like how my body was working, like all of this like tracking and knowing about like ovulations and DPO and like all these terms and just like all these things with like tracking I had was all new to me because I did not obviously do that with Audrey. She is also born in December. Her birthday is actually on the 22nd. So when she was born, my husband and I would talk a lot about how we would want our second child or just our other children to not to be born in December because it was a very stressful month for us. So when we were trying, I just thought to try every month, you know, because you never know, because I was fully expecting myself to not be pregnant till maybe this time this year, like, you know, like closer to the end of the year. Like I didn't know how soon or how late it would take us. So when we found out we were pregnant and we found out the due date was also in December, I was literally so shocked. Like of all months in the year, there are 12 months in the year, how could it fall on the exact same month again? But anyway, that's fine. Obviously, like we're so thrilled and to be able to be even pregnant. So I mean, that's just like a little thing that crossed my mind. I just think it's really ironic and funny. But this baby is gonna be, or is due to be born on the 9th, so earlier in December, but we all know how labor and delivery works. Sometimes you're early, sometimes you're late, so it just kind of depends. But either way, it's fine. This is going to be our new normal now. I'm gonna move on to the actual first trimester. Okay, so I just quickly jotted down a list of symptoms that I experienced when I was in my first trimester, and obviously every person's different, every pregnancy is different, so it just kind of depends. But I hope if you are currently pregnant or you just want to know about pregnancy, this will kind of give you some insight, or maybe you can relate too. The big thing is nausea, and this hit me right exactly at 6 weeks. And I remember with Audrey, I was also very nauseous, and we actually found out about her when I was 6 weeks exactly. I remember that too. So for some reason, my body and the way it responds to pregnancy, 6 weeks is like the magic number where all hell breaks loose and like all pregnancy symptoms kicked in. But I mentioned when I was taking the pregnancy test, which at that time I was 4 weeks, I was already experiencing some symptoms. But since I didn't know for sure if I was pregnant or not, I didn't know if it was just, you know, because my body was off or if because I was pregnant. But during that time, I was already kind of feeling a little bit nauseous, not to the degree that I started feeling when I hit 6 weeks, but I was feeling kind of queasy. I remember I was very tired, and my appetite increased during the 4-week mark. When 6 weeks hit, oh, everything was just like to a different level. Okay, so nausea is one thing, and then morning sickness, and it's called morning sickness, but everybody knows that it can also carry out throughout the afternoon and evening, and that's exactly what I had. And basically it's just a constant feeling of wanting to throw up. I think I did throw up, like actually throw up a handful of times, but it was just like the constant feeling that I was about to, but I didn't. Like that empty pit in your stomach where you felt like just really unsettled. I felt like the only thing that made me feel better was eating. So a lot of people say that because they're so sick and they feel so bad in the first trimester, some people actually end up losing weight. For me, I feel like I gained weight in the first trimester already because I was like eating. I mean, I wasn't eating well. I was eating mainly just carbs because that's all I could tolerate. But yeah, I would eat because it would give me like a brief moment of peace, of not wanting to like hurl. But then after I would stop eating, and then like if I would like take a nap and I would wake up, I'd feel sick all over again. Like I said, when I would wake up, I would wake up with a really sore stomach. Like it's weird. It felt like I got punched while I was sleeping. Like just punched continuously, I would wake up and my stomach would really hurt. It wasn't like cramping, it wasn't sharp pain, it was like kind of like a dull, like overall kind of pain all throughout my stomach. Another thing was headaches. It definitely got worse in the second trimester, which I'll talk about in my second trimester video, but in the beginning I did get some headaches. They wouldn't last for very long, but it would usually happen toward like the middle or like the end of the night. Food aversions was the big one that comes hand in hand with like the nausea and morning sickness. There weren't a lot of particular things I was craving, but there were a lot of things that I could not stand to even smell. And I would notice that like the foods I was eating prior to being pregnant, I didn't want any of those. So like before I mentioned, I was really working on trying to be healthy. So I was eating a lot of salads. I wasn't eating a lot of carbs. I was just eating a lot of like vegetables and fruits. And when I became pregnant, it was like the complete opposite of that. I could not stand vegetables. The thought of salads made me want to puke. I didn't even want to eat like fruits. Like I remember, since it was during the summer, well it's still the summer, my husband was obsessed with watermelons, and just like looking at him eating watermelons was so disgusting to me. Like I just couldn't stand it. So yeah, it was like so weird. Like I said, it wasn't like I particularly wanted certain things, but I just like did not like a lot of things. Congestion, it's something that I had a little bit even prior to becoming pregnant, but when I became pregnant, it just got even worse. I would wake up with a really stuffy nose, kind of similar to like allergy symptoms. It would just be really annoying because I would notice it throughout the day. Even if I would blow my nose, I felt like it would fill up right away. So it never really became a full-blown cold, but just like the constant feeling of being stuffed up. Fatigue, exhaustion was a big one, and I just really I just realized how much I took for granted the luxury of sleep and rest I had with my first pregnancy, because obviously I had no children to take care of at that time. So I was able to just sleep the whole day and take as much naps as I want. But this time, now that I have to look after a 2-year-old, it's been so much harder to just carry on throughout the day, and I feel so bad, and a lot of like the mom guilt was kicking up with me because, you know, she wanted to go out, she wanted to do things, and all I wanted to do for basically the whole first trimester was lay on the couch or pass out on the bed or just sleep, because I was just so tired. No matter how much I slept, I felt like it wasn't enough. Like I would just wake up from a nap and I would just be sitting down, and next thing you know, my eyes are closing again. It was so weird. I completely stopped drinking coffee at 6 weeks because the smell of coffee, or just even the thought of coffee, was sickening to me. So I couldn't drink much caffeine. Could drink coffee to like help me stay awake. So I tried tea, but it wasn't really doing anything. And the only thing that I really wanted was, it was so weird because it was so particular, it was a Vietnamese coffee. If you've tried that before, then you know it's really strong. So I made sure not to consume too much of that, but that was the only thing that like tasted good, which is so weird because it's just coffee with condensed milk. But I don't know why, I just couldn't stand like my normal coffee that I usually drink. Twitching, my eye twitching, sometimes it still does that too, but in the beginning my eye would twitch a lot and it would just feel uncomfortable. Hot showers, I wrote, made me feel really weak, which at one point, like I didn't even want to take a shower. Like I would go, this is disgusting, but like I said, complete transparency here. Sometimes I would go like 2 days without showering because the thought of showering again was very tiring. I felt like it was an exercise, like being in the shower. And you'd probably be like, well, you don't have to take a hot shower. Well, usually when I take a shower at night, and it's colder at night, like the temperature adjusts like automatically, and it's colder at night. So I much prefer to take a shower when the water is warmer. And I would notice if the water is too hot with all the steam and everything going on, it would make me feel very, very drained, that oftentimes while in the shower I would have to stop and sit on the stool, you know, like little seat area in the shower, just to like take a break and catch my breath, because just taking a shower or just like even like shaving or just just washing my hair, I felt like took a lot out of me. Drooling while sleeping, this is a random thing. I don't know if a lot of other women have experienced this, but I would notice I would wake up with drool, and I don't usually drool, but it's just, I feel like there's excess saliva maybe when you're pregnant. Lower back has intensified. Previously, I mentioned that I was on Accutane. I was on Accutane for a little over 6 months, and 6 months is the usual course that doctors put you on when they prescribe you Accutane. Since I wasn't really seeing results, and I guess my acne was more aggressive than we all thought, I was on it for a little bit longer than usual. Because of being on Accutane, and maybe also because of the duration that I was on Accutane for, it left permanent damage on my joints and my muscles. So afterwards, I noticed that I still had a lot of the back pain, the joint pain, specifically like around sciatica pain, so like down my legs, like nerve pain. When I became pregnant, I noticed that those symptoms just kind of intensified, and it was pretty unbearable, especially like when going to bed. I felt really sore even though I didn't do anything too intense. So yeah, like in the first trimester, I definitely felt all the pain already, and usually, you know, those pains, aches and pains are not really felt till you're either in the middle or toward the end, when, you know, your belly is getting bigger and the weight of the baby is getting more noticeable. But for me, I guess because of my history, I just felt it all much sooner. One big thing that happened during the first trimester, it was around like the 9-week mark, I believe. I got really sick, and it seemed like just a regular cold or like flu type sickness, because I was getting a lot of like, you know, like the symptoms, like I had a headache, I had like no appetite, I was already feeling really nauseous, but I felt I had a little bit of a sore throat, I had a stuffy nose, I felt really tired, so I felt like sore. So all these things that could have been just pregnancy symptoms plus something else, because during that time Audrey also had like a runny nose, but never progressed to anything more than that. So I'm sure that I caught whatever bug she had, and I don't know why, but for some reason this pregnancy I have just been so fearful and so anxious about everything. Even though I'm doing everything that I can, I guess because this time that we were actively trying, I did a lot of research, and you know, Google can really scare you. That's why even doctors say to stay away from it. So I was just reading so many things about just all the possible things that could happen while you're pregnant, to you or the baby, and it's just really scary stuff. So while I was going through this, I came across CMV, which, if you don't know, it's a really serious thing. It mainly affects your baby, and I'm not going to talk too much about it here, because you can look it up, or more importantly, you can ask your doctor about it if you're very concerned. But the scary thing about CMV is that the symptoms of it is very similar to like a cold symptom or a flu symptom for the mother. Babies who catch a CMV virus the parents don't even end up finding out till after the baby's born. And when the baby is born, it's the side effects and the consequences of the illness is just very devastating and very serious. So I was reading into that, and at one point I was like so convinced that what I had was CMV, and I was so scared, especially since I read that the biggest carriers for this kind of thing are like little kids and toddlers, because they're exposed to all kinds of germs, more so than like adults are, I guess. I ended up seeing her after one of my appointments, and I brought it up, and I told her how I was really sick, and it took me a little bit longer than usual to recover, which again could be a normal pregnancy symptom, because when you're pregnant, your immune system is kind of compromised already. So yeah, I was telling her it was just very confusing. I didn't know what it was. I just wanted to make sure. So she went ahead and she ordered a blood test, which can determine if I have it. And after the blood test was done and the nurse called me back, they told me that I did not have CMV, so whatever illness that was, it wasn't CMV, which is good news. But she also said that it shows that I was not exposed to the virus recently, which means that if, you know, I catch it anytime during this pregnancy while I'm pregnant, it could still transfer to the baby, and it could still have the very severe, scary consequences on the baby. So that's the thing. She was saying how if I had been exposed to it before being pregnant or just like very recently in my lifetime, then it almost like I'd have immunity to it, I think is what she was trying to say. At least that's what I got from it. It's just not as scary or dangerous, but the fact that I haven't been exposed to it recently means that I guess I'm more susceptible to it. And yeah, so that's the good news and the bad news. So the good news is that now I know, and I'm just being very cautious. Obviously, like if you look up CMV, there's no real prevention for it because it just comes off as like a regular illness. And if you're not pregnant, it's totally like not fatal to you or anything like that. It just comes off as, sorry, the sun's moving around. It just comes off as just like a regular cold. But if you are pregnant, that's when it's dangerous. So I've just been washing my hands a lot, just being cautious about when we go to public places. Of course, like not to rub my eyes or expose myself to possible like germs and viruses. And so I just wanted to share that because not a lot of people talk about CMV, and even my doctor said herself, like it's not something that they, you know, test for regularly. It's not something that they even really bring up because in her opinion, she says it's very rare and most people have already been exposed to it, and it doesn't pose very serious or dangerous threat to the mom or the baby. But I mean, you know, like as a mom, I'm just always scared anyway. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there just in case, you know, you're worried, or if you heard about CMV or just thought I'd let them know, because that was something that I was dealing with during the first trimester. I had some mild cramping. It wouldn't last for very long, but it would just be kind of in the bottom part of my stomach. It may have been just my stomach stretching. I don't know if it's around ligament pain, if it was possible to feel that early on. Thing that would be alarming that led me to believe I was having a miscarriage or anything like that. But yeah, so it's just slight discomfort with that. Like, of course, with your hormones and your emotions going everywhere, I had a lot of mood swings. This especially, my husband loves to point out how I was very moody during my first trimester. I mean, I think I still am, and that shows something if even I admit it, because I notice it too. And I just have to take a step back and breathe and remind myself that, you know, my body's going through a lot, and it's a whole process of adjusting again with the hormones and the different levels of my body shifting. So yeah, so but that's to be expected, and of course it wasn't a fun time for anyone, but I'm just glad my husband understood, and he really did try his best to accommodate to that. And lastly, I wrote bloody nose. I also heard this was a common symptom, you know, with all the excess amount of blood your body is now pumping out. I would get bloody noses mainly, I would say, by the end of the night, and it wouldn't be a lot to where I had to like lay back and like put ice on it or something like that, or I didn't have to do much. It would just be just a little bit, or I would notice that there would already be like dried blood formed like inside my nose, or when I would blow my nose I would have like bloody boogers. So yeah, so I did notice that, but like I said, it wasn't something that was too alarming for me. And that's pretty much all I wrote for my first trimester. It was a lot of symptoms. I am currently 19 weeks now. In a couple of days I will be 20 weeks on Monday, so that's gonna put me right there halfway through my pregnancy. And this pregnancy honestly is just speeding by. In the beginning I felt like it was going by so slow just because we found out so early. And I mean, I have a whole story too about like how we told our family and how I told my friends and things like that. And my sister even threw us a gender reveal party. It was just family, but it was really nice and I really appreciated that. It was a very special memory for us to have, especially since we don't know if this is gonna be my last child or not. Like, I was certain that I was set for just 2 kids, but it's so crazy to me that now that I'm pregnant, I feel like I could see us with a 3rd child in the future. And my husband's just like, okay, slow it down. Let's just do 1 kid at a time. First trimester was horrible. And I'm sorry that I haven't been posting if anybody has been wondering. It's just so much was going on and I had to really take a step back and focus on my health and focus on my family. It's been very emotional knowing that soon Audrey won't be the only child around this house. And I mean, I'm such like an attached parent, and of course since with her I'm a first-time mom, I just feel like it's gonna be so hard to get used to having a 2nd child around, because like my whole world and all I've known is just Audrey. And I know that these thoughts and like this kind of feeling is not uncommon either. That whenever, you know, you have your 2nd child or just add to your family, you can't help but wonder if you'll love the baby just as much as you love your other child, or if it'll be the same, or if your other child will adjust well to the changes and things like that. Like, these are like serious concerns that I think about. But like I said, I'm just very hopeful. I'm just so happy because all I have wanted was for my children to have each other. That, I think, pretty much concludes everything I have to say about the first trimester. I would show like my bump, but it's technically not accurate because I am 19 weeks. For the 2nd trimester, I will make sure to film that, and that is it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys found this helpful in some way. If you're pregnant, let me know. If we're pregnant together, that would be so cool. Yeah, and I just wish everybody a happy, healthy, and safe week. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.